Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Tax Sale Insiders. With me today is a fairly familiar face. Stephen and I have spent a few episodes talking through some pretty riveting topics. Stephen, welcome back.
Thanks as always for having me. It's a lot of fun.
But I heard through the grapevine that there's some potential changes, not for sure, but potential changes come down the pipeline in Louisiana. I know you're a licensed attorney there. You've been plugged into those changes over the years quite a bit. Can you help you guys fill us in a little bit on what those potential changes might be?
Yeah, I can. And there's no hard and fast date set yet for when it might be put in, into law. Obviously, it has to go through the legislative process, and we've been working on this for a few years. But the most substantial potential change is the auction bidding system of Louisiana, which is, of course, if you know anything about Louisiana's tax sale bidding system, you know that there's this kooky way of bidding down ownership at the tax lien auction to compete against your fellow bidder to see who will take the least amount of ownership in this property in the event that it doesn't redeem, making you potentially a co-owner with your tax debtor and having to then partition the property and everything. It's just crazy, but everybody knows it, so that's good. Yeah, there's being aware of your issues is the first step to correcting them, right? And so the consensus is the conversion to a bid up premium auction system. This has been talked about for a while, and it's in a legislatively formed professional committee, which is called the Law Institute. I'm a member of the tax sale committee for the Law Institute that basically produces the research and the recommended change of law, submits it to the legislature, and oftentimes they rubber stamp it because it's the conclusion of sometimes years of expertise of a certain field. It could be other industries do the same thing. And the legislature meets for a couple of months and they're not going to know that there's something better or different than that, other than maybe some lobbying interest. But for the most part, this is something that's already been approved by the Law Institute. It's just a matter of getting it all put together. It would require a constitutional amendment, unfortunately. So that makes it a little bit more, arduous, difficult to get it passed through. But we're hopeful that this could be in the 2023 legislative session in just a few months from now, making it a 2024 law change. So nothing for next year that we're aware of, or certainly not what I'm talking about. But that would be the most significant change, that it would be a bid up premium. What's still to be determined is what happens to that overbid, which is what the next logical question that any seasoned investor might ask. Obviously, there's two ways that can typically go, whether it's refunded in a redemption or whether it's lost or sunk into the investment. Is a big deal to investors, and that has yet to be decided.
Got it. And is there, I guess the other question would be, is there any interest earned on that premium? Is that being discussed as well, or has that been decided?
It's been discussed. I don't think it's been finalized. The council is a little bit more conservative than I think the legislature might be, and so there'll still be an opportunity to lobby some of those changes. What I'm hoping for, I'm promoting the return of the premium in the event of a redemption. In my experience and looking at other states, and talking with other practitioners in other states, all that does is generate a lot more bidding activity, right? There's a lot more liberal bidding if you know that you can get your bid back. Even maybe a small administrative fee to the government. At least you can get 95% of it back. That's a huge difference in what you're willing to invest. But also in the event that you take the deed to the house, there's this pool, a fund essentially that's sitting there that you're clearly not going to get your premium back, overbid back if you win the house. But in the event that there are subordinate lien holders that haven't been paid, or the homeowner, right, who just lost their property, there's a sum of money that they're entitled to. This is almost exactly like a mortgage foreclosure is treated in almost every state. If there's excess money left over after the foreclosure has been completed. So in my mind, it's actually a very equitable system, and it promotes a fair system to the investors, but also potentially a pot of money for the homeowner who loses their house. I think that whether the interest that gets earned on that premium, that I mean, I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but hopefully we get the return of the premium of the overbid back.
Got it. Yeah, so it's and just for listeners that aren't aware of Louisiana's process, there's if you read the statutes, it's definitely confusing, but there's really a lien process and a deed sale process, and what we're talking about here is really the lien sale process that currently has the ownership bidding down, and modifying that to I guess a flat interest rate on that, delinquent taxes, right, and then a premium bid, and whether or not that premium bid gets any interest. Like I think not Louisiana, in Indiana, it gets interest, but a lot lower percentage than the outstanding taxes.
Then on the tax itself, right? Yeah. So in Louisiana, you get a 5% on whatever you buy at the tax lien sale. Like the price doesn't change, right? It's the underlying delinquency, the starting bid at tax sale price is the tax sale price. That's what you pay, and that gets a 5% bonus.
Right.
And then there's 1% per month, simple interest. So, it incurs immediately. So in the very first month, if there's a redemption the day after the sale, you're getting 6% back.
So
if it goes all the way to the end of the third year, you're getting 41% collectively, right, over time. But,
okay.
So I think there was a little bit of resistance to talking about additional interest on top of the overbid when the interest that they're getting is already pretty solid, and I don't know. I think that's some of those issues that still has to be flushed out. But I think either way, the one of the biggest detractors, I think, for investors coming to Louisiana has been this bid down ownership system and the sort of the quagmire it leaves you in the event of that the redemption doesn't occur.
Right. So if for those that are familiar with other states, it's I'll say similar to a Colorado process where the interest rate is set on the delinquent taxes. You bid a premium, whether or not you get that premium back. In Colorado, you don't; it's sunk cost. But you're hoping that ends up being a return of that premium. None of that's been decided. A lot of this all has to go through legislation. Who knows what comes out the end? But it's always good to know kind of what's in the pipeline. I guess, Stephen, I know you're also associated with Jurisdeed, and we were talking a bit about a pretty revolutionary product in the noticing side. I want to give you a chance to kind of talk more about that, because this is a pretty, well, my viewpoint, it's pretty awesome, cool product that I think people, if they knew more about it and where they could use it, I don't want to steal the whole thunder, but talk to a little bit more about the whole mailing service that Jurisdeed has.
So yeah, no, we're excited about it. There are certainly a lot of opportunities to advance this industry and all the different use cases with the available technologies. And notifications is one of these things in the tax sale world that just constantly comes up, right? No matter what state you're in, no matter what stage of the investment you're in. It could be that you're soliciting deals. It could be that you're trying to increase your redemptions, trying to get more paid. And at some point, it's a legal requirement that you send notifications out. And at some point, it's a requirement just to finish the process to get the deed. So there's all different use cases for this. Title insurance requires it, laws require it. And it's been shown that if you can get a better outreach to the persons of interest to a delinquent asset, that you're going to get better returns and more frequent, and so you're gonna help your ROI by actually conducting a more effective notification. What Jurisdeed is doing to take, because nobody likes fooling with mail, right? Even the mail people don't like fooling with mail. So I mean, excuse me. I think my postal agents the other day is like, oh, I hate fooling with this mail. Like, think about everybody else, So we designed a platform, first of all, to make a mailing completely button clicks. Like, there's no more paper, right? The entire thing happens with structuring a mailing list, a template, date, mail class, and then watch it go and track every step of the way. Because the other thing with mail in the legal world, or even the tax sale world, is proving you did it, not just direct mail, which like mailers which like to just pump it out into the mail stream and hope for the best. You know, this mailing system actually tracks every step of the way, including, you know, delivery, returns, signatures, everything. But the most unique factor about the mailing process is, well, who are you mailing to, right? And most people are starting with a list of the assessed owner or maybe a title search. But keep in mind that those databases that give you that are static databases, right? The assessed owner is coming from the assessor's office. That's updated whenever somebody conducts a transaction or tells them that they're moving. You know, title records, same thing. I mean, those are clocked in records. Nobody's updating that if that person's dead, right? Until some other transaction occurs. Well, you know, if the quality of your mailing list is paramount to the success that you have with the mailing campaign, what Jurisdeed is doing is actually giving you our smart mail product, which allows you to send to the best possible name and address as of the day that we send the mail. And this is involving investigative research or you know, or skip tracing, like dynamic data sources that with our proprietary software system that's saying, hey, this is the right person or persons for this to be best chances for it to get received, opened, and responded to, which leads to more redemptions, which leads to more deals, and leads to more legal compliance, which gets you a better return at the end if you're going for a deed. So we're able to do this scalably, and it doesn't matter the mail class, right? You can do this on first class mail or certified with a green card. That's just your choice of how, whether a law requires you to do one way or the other, or whether you want to spend less money if you're a lien holder. First class mail, this is becoming very, very popular right now with us, is our smart mail product. We're able to do this like with very, very little cost, but the gains are dramatically different. I mean, they're getting a much better return on their investment for sending out this notification.
No, you know, this service really is used or usable really in any state where there's any sort of a foreclosure process, right? Which is pretty much anywhere, right?
Yeah, it doesn't even matter why. It could be that you're just, I mean, some investors do driving for dollars and that kind of stuff. I mean, they can, you know, you could say, send me, you know, here's I buy houses for cash and I'm mailing this out to this zip code or this neighborhood or whatever, you know. Well, how do you know who's going to open that letter? Is it the homeowner or is it the occupant? You know, it's like, you know, knowing where to send the letter is, again, it's directly impacts the success you'll have with the mailing campaign.
Are there some states that you've seen, Stephen, that where investors are using it more in specific states? Is there any kind of, you know, hey, if you're an investor in the state, you really should look at that? Or any of those kind of peak points?
Well, for example, in Louisiana, you get a big benefit by satisfying preliminary due process in the redemption period. It also has the effect of maybe creating more redemptions because you're getting it the right notice to the right person at the right time, and you know, maybe the tax collector's notification was unopened or went to a dead person, or et cetera. But by completing that process, it puts you in a better position to get the deed without challenging. So it actually terminates it cancels the right of the potential challenger that after the redemption period ends. So you're taking some of this if you do it correctly, though, right? Not if you just like as long as you can show that you got the right notice to the right person, that person can't come back and challenge. Now that's a law in Louisiana, but you know, in other states there are other similar laws where this is an optional step. You don't have to, but if you do, you're putting yourself in a better position down the road to perfect your investment and to increase your returns. Because if you get a redemption versus gaining the property and liquidating that, your returns are going to, you know, be exponentially higher there.
Excellent. So definitely, if you're active investor in Louisiana, whether you're a lien or deed investor in Louisiana, definitely need to look at this. And then any state for where you're needing to do some sort of notification to investors, and you know, for those attorneys that are listening, right, they do this is basically their entire job through a quiet title process. This is something that immensely help them.
I would say that the number one reason that is being purchased right now from us are lien holders who are nearing the end of the redemption period, facing with this unredeemed portion of their portfolio, that the next step is to turn it over to legal, right? And especially in states where they really don't want the property at all, and they know that it's a high cost proposition, right? You have to like shell out more money to sink into this thing that you don't want the property, but it's the best next thing you can do, legally speaking. Right before you do that, use Jurisdeed Smart Mail. And what will happen is you'll see a greater chunk of that unredeemed remaining portion get redeemed because of the smarter and more effective mailing campaign. Then resort to legal on only the ones that you absolutely have to.
Excellent. Well, Stephen, I'm running short on time today in this episode, but I know there's lots more that we want to touch base on. So I'm going to invite you back for another episode, whether you want to be here or not.
I always want to be here. It's always fun.
Well, thank you.